It's been called the John Stapleton Effect. Parkinson's UK have noticed a massive increase in people looking for advice and also people donating to the charity after the former Watchdog and GMTV broadcaster shared the news of his own diagnosis last month. John joins me now alongside Dr Hilary. It's like the king has come to the studio.
Stop it.
No, it's
Stop
true.
it.
It's true. We've all been paying homage, haven't we?
We have.
It's just so good to see you.
It's lovely to be here. And the reception I get when I come here is so warm and so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Have me on any time you like.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's really good to know, and we might hold you to that, that's for sure. But this, the John Stapleton Effect, I'm not surprised, actually.
Well, I was absolutely flabbergasted by it because I did a little film, as you know, with my son Nick for the other side, because I decided it was time to come out, as it were, about my condition, because people were beginning to ask, is John okay, etc.
Yeah.
And we did it with the hope that it would just raise awareness of Parkinson's and get people talking, because it was a funny thing, it's about a change in role play. You spend your life looking after your kids, and then suddenly your kids have to look after you.
Yeah.
And Nick realised that, and so we had this conversation on the film about the future, really, about, you know, what it might hold. Will I need care? Will I need a stair lift in the house? Will I be able to still live in the house in the future? And I think it struck a chord with a lot of people. Obviously it did, because we had an astonishing response.
It's incredible.
Thousands of people got in touch with us and with Parkinson's UK. And I think it did because I think there's 153,000 people officially have Parkinson's. But everyone knows someone who's got it.
Definitely.
And also the conversation we had about the future would apply to loads of people, not just people with Parkinson's, but loads of families all over the country facing the same kind of dilemma and need to talk about these things.
Yeah.
That's really, well, it wasn't just about getting John Stapleton back on the telly. Lovely as it is to be here, darling.
Lovely as it is for us.
But no, it's about just making people aware.
Yeah, no, exactly. And these massive, big conversations, because we're always talking about that, aren't we? How people generally don't have, you don't talk about these things.
Well, men are particularly balanced, aren't they?
Really? Usually.
Oh, don't bother me, I'll be fine. Go and see the doctor. No, I'm fine, don't you worry.
Yeah, well, no, for somebody like you, John, who's been an icon in news reporting over the years, an inspiration to so many people. I mean, you could just talk about any subject without a brief, the breaking news, and you were so knowledgeable, and you were an inspiration to everybody. So I just wanted to say that.
That's very kind of you.
We've made for years.
Absolutely
but for you to come out and talk about Parkinson's disease, to open up about what it's like to live with it and what can be done, means so much. And I know you've raised a lot of money already.
I know, see, that is fantastic, because the more money raised for research.
I did a little film about singing for the BBC for children in need last week. I went out on Monday. They gave me singing lessons, because singing can help Parkinson's.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And according to the BBC, that raised £20,000.
That's fantastic.
Just one little film.
I know, see?
That's great.
It's the John Stapleton Effect, basically. But for you, what was it? Because you were saying the thing that worries you the most is maybe your voice going a little bit. Because that's so much part of you.
Exactly how I earned a living for nearly 50 years.
Yeah.
Talking is what we do, isn't it, Lorraine?
Yeah.
You know. I started off with the classic tremor, then I had a bit of difficulty swallowing. My handwriting went, so I can only write in tiny letters now, which people find hard to decipher. But the most frustrating one is the voice, because you're okay you're hearing me okay now. Yeah. But whenever I get in a pub or I was in a restaurant last night, there's ambient noise, and I do go to pubs and restaurants now and again, as you know.
Sure. Yeah, just now and again.
I have difficulty making myself heard, and it's very frustrating. Having said all that, you know, a lot of my friends of my generation, although they won't admit it, they're gone a bit deaf. Yes. And so it's not all my fault, basically.
No, absolutely not.
It is frustrating. I've lost some resonance in my voice, basically.
Yeah.
And it becomes a bit of a challenge.
Still authoritative, though.
No, absolutely.
I don't know about authority.
But you know this disease. I mean, anyway, even if you didn't, you know, you would research it because that's what you're like. But your mum went through this, didn't she? So it was kind of like you thought to yourself, this might be coming.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
Yeah, did you know?
I mean, I'd watched my mother go from this lively, sort of ebullient lady to a lady who was almost a prisoner in her own home. It was very sad to watch, actually. And she had, I had all the classic symptoms that she had. So I just went for confirmation, basically. And that's what the man said. And we learned to live with it. I mean, you know, I'm fairly pragmatic about it. It can be a brutal, painful disease for some people. But on the other hand, a lot of people live not a normal life, but a near normal life with Parkinson's. And so I'm taking the positive line and hoping I'm one of them. And in the meantime, all I can do is, you know, take the advice of my doctors, talk to Dr Hilary. Yeah. Take the advice of, I've got a speech therapist. I've signed up for a Keep Fit class, you know.
Brilliant.
And Parkinson's UK, of course, are fabulous. They offer all kinds of free advice. So, yeah, I just keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best.
It's all we can do, isn't it? It's all we can do.
Lynn used to say that to me. No point in complaining about something you can't change, you know.
That's true. Do you hear her sometimes?
Oh, yes, absolutely. She was so positive about everything. They were together.
Oh.
I was going to say to you, Hilary, Lynn always thought, said, think positive about these things. Do you think that actually helps the condition? Is there any medical evidence to suggest that thinking positive can help your condition?
Yeah, definitely. We know that sometimes, depression and anxiety can go hand in hand with Parkinson's. So staying positive and always being hopeful, I think is really important. Yeah. I think it's really good for the psychological aspects of Parkinson's.
No, it's right.
And, 1 in 37 people in their lifetime might begin to get symptoms of Parkinson's. So it's not that uncommon.
No, it's the fastest growing neurological condition in the entire world.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
153,000 people in the UK registered to have it, but as I said, everyone knows someone who's got it. I think it may in fact be more. But anyway,
I think you're probably right. I think you are probably
I'm talking too much. Stop me.
You're not talking too much. You could never talk too much. That's the only frustration about this, is we don't have enough time to talk to you properly. But I know that you will have had really, really all these difficult conversations, and one this week in particular, and I hope you don't mind me talking about this, is of course the proposed law about assisted dying. It's back in the headlines this week. You've talked about that before, and you and Nick will have talked about that. You and your son would have talked about that, wouldn't you? Very hard thing to discuss, isn't it?
Well, I've said to Nick on a number. I'm right with Esther on this one, Esther Ranson, who started the debate really. I take the view if I'm suffering very badly. You have my permission to take me across to Switzerland and do the business, as it were, as long as it doesn't get you in trouble. This new bill, so in principle I'm for it, but it doesn't really apply to Parkinson's people, because with Parkinson's doesn't kill you.
No.
And you can't say in 6 months you're going to die of Parkinson's.
Of course not.
At the moment it doesn't really apply to me, and I think what we prefer is people just to talk openly about the subject and have the sort of conversation you're discussing. But I remember seeing my mother. My mother used to say to me, "I've had my time, John, I've had my time." And to be absolutely honest with you, although it may sound a bit awful, when she died, it was a relief.
It can be.
It was a relief for her.
I agree with you.
It was a relief for me, because it was horrible watching her suffer like that.
Yeah.
So in principle, I'm there. I don't know all the details of the ins and outs of the proposed legislation, but it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't apply to Parkinson's people as I understand it at the moment. But in principle, I'm for it. What about you?
Absolutely. I don't think people should need to go to Dignitas. I think people should have the right to determine their own demise in the comfort of their own home, surrounded by loved ones, in circumstances where palliative care is not sufficient. Even the best palliative care is not sufficient. And of course there will be detractors. There will be people who have reservations and have worries. And that's what the bill is there to sort out, and make sure that all the safeguards are in place, and the bill that's proposed has more safeguards than anywhere in the world.
But look, this is something that we don't have to think about right now at all.
Sure.
But as John was saying, it's a good thing to talk about before you get to crisis.
That we must have.
Before you do. But for goodness sake, you're just living life to the full, and long may the John Stapleton Effect continue.
Well, I'm happy to carry on as long as I can.
You're fantastic.
Delighted.
We're so happy to have you here. You've no idea how much you've cheered us all up.
Bless you.
Total, utter legend.
Lovely.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Here.
Let's have a campaign for Sir John. That has to happen. Why has it not happened already? This is outrageous. I'm phoning up. Thank you very much.